Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lance Collins. I am obviously one of the ASI presidential candidates. A little bit about me, I am a fourth-year civil engineering major. I am one of the 8 orientation board members in charge of SOAR and WOW. I am also a poly rep. My campaign is based on, I guess the idea is connecting with Collins, connecting with the campus, connecting with the community, connecting Cal Poly students to one another, and helping to connect the past, present, and future of Cal Poly. The biggest thing that I'm focused on is, 1, student success. How can we make students as successful as possible throughout their 4 years here at Cal Poly, or 5 in my case. And then really focusing on Cal Poly students, working for Cal Poly students, supporting one another, supporting each organization that's present here on this campus, and what their unique goals are. And then finally is keeping a continually growing campus, feeling small, feeling connected, and still having that Cal Poly community feeling. So just remember throughout the day to connect with Collins and come visit us at our booth at 11:30. We have, oh, it goes on. Hello?
No.
Oh, it doesn't. At 11:30, root beer floats at the booth.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle?
Hello everyone, my name is Owen Schwaegerle. I'm from Pleasanton in the Bay Area. I am a third-year ag business major, minoring in political science, and I'm running for ASI president. Today I'll tell you a little bit about my background, what got me to Cal Poly, and I'd say it was just when I stepped on this campus I knew this was the college I wanted to go to because of the people here, because of the environment. It was such a great place for me, and that's why I got here, went to Cal Poly. And when I came to Cal Poly my first year, I lived in the dorms and was involved in the hall council. Through that, I began to establish my network of friends, and then I joined the Ag Business Management Club and the Line Dancing Club at Cal Poly. I was a part of crew, and all of those really formed and shaped me. And then my second year, I joined Zeta Beta Tau fraternity, and that also got me more involved on campus with Greek life and learning about the vast community here. And now I'm running for ASI president, and the slogan is Anchor with Owen, helping you find your anchor, a community where you belong at Poly.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out to listen to us here at the debate today. My name is Kyle Jordan, and I am a junior transfer, environmental management and protection major with a concentration in geographic information systems for agriculture. Sounds like a lot of words, but basically what it means is I'm going to be working with people and working with the law and working with a lot of diverse interests to try to find the best solution for both development plans, city plans, regional plans in the future. And I think that those qualities, those things that I've been learning both in my classwork and in my decade of working experience will really help me to make sure that the connections that everyone makes on campus and the connections that students are making between administration and the rest of the professors on campus are going to be done to the best of their abilities. I think that the campaign slogan is right in your future at Cal Poly, because I want this campaign to be about you. I want to know what everyone wants to get out of their campus. You know, I have some ideas what I think can be improved, but the most important thing is the people's voice and finding what makes Cal Poly great.
Mr. Jordan, your time has expired, and for the sake of getting all our questions answered, we're going to have to move into the questions. As we do move into these questions, please keep in mind that you have up to 90 seconds for your response, and you will have a 30-second warning coming from Ms. Kin in this corner. So the first question that we have for our candidates, and we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Jordan, is what are some current issues facing students, and how will you address them?
And just to clarify, I have 90 seconds?
Yes.
I think there's 3 main issues that I've talked about in the campaign and things that I think are going to be really important in the future. And the first is going to be housing. And there's a Mustang News article that you can read where administration says that housing is not going to be mandatory through sophomore year, except I think that that's a misrepresentation, because I have actually been to open meetings, which everyone can attend, where they've talked about guaranteeing student housing by making it mandatory to build more housing in the future, not talking about housing south, but talking about further expansion. So if we are going to guarantee this funding to get the correct funding from the state, we need to make sure that it's housing that everyone wants to live in. We need to make sure that the student voice is heard so that, honestly, like Poly Canyon Village doesn't happen again. So that you want to live where you have to live, and so that you can feel like an adult on campus, so that you can feel like you have your own space in your own home. The second thing that I think is going to be important is our transportation in the future. You look at the parking lot that we're about to close down for the Housing South project, which they're closing basically when WOW Week starts. We're not going to have 700 parking spaces. So it's already hard enough sometimes when you're trying to get to class. You spend 10, 15 minutes trying to get a parking spot. Well, now we're going to get rid of a lot of parking spaces, as well as those parking spaces that people use help fund UPD. And UPD...
Mr. Jordan, your time has expired. And again, if you have any further questions for our candidates, please feel free to approach them. They're here to answer questions for you. But for the sake of time, we're going to move to Mr. Schwaegerle.
Thank you. There's 3 issues that I'm really passionate about, and it's my platform. It's called the 3 S's. It stands for student fees, student safety, and school spirit. We want every student to get anchored at Cal Poly through a community, but they can't get anchored unless they can afford their college experience. And then once they can afford their college experience, we want them to be able to find a safe community, and we want them to be excited, to be Mustangs, and respect one another. And so some of the things I have planned for student fees is going to the state and advocating for more funding on behalf of the CSU. We used to get around 60% of our funding from the state. That's gone down to 40 in the past couple of years. And so if we continue to make those relations with people in Sacramento, the state may send us more funding, which would offset tuitions for students. Student safety is a huge concern as well. We want everyone to anchor in a safe harbor. And to do that, we need to make sure that students feel comfortable and safe on this campus. That goes with having Mustang patrol, better lighting, and by really addressing the issues of sexual assault on our campus. And the last one, school spirit. I'm proud to be a Mustang, and everyone else needs to just get going out to the games, support our school. That way, we make good choices, and the value of our degree continues to rise.
All right, so I want to first start off by finishing the statement that Kyle was making about parking and transportation. So one of the biggest things that I have seen, number one, like he said, the parking lot is closing the day that WOW starts, and that is a huge impact on this campus for the different colleges, the different organizations, and for the students in general. Another thing is that a lot of the fees that we use to pay for the free transit on campus, be that the slow transit or the, there's also my train of thought. Yes, the shuttle. Those are paid through the fees that parking comes through by citations. And with that reduced parking, that number is going to decrease. So one, finding funding to increase the amount of transportation that we have on campus for those students to get on and off campus is going to be huge for the next year. The next is the awareness that we have on campus, not just about sexual assault, but about your involvement in the community and you as a citizen of the Cal Poly community and the San Luis Obispo community as a whole. With an orientation, the biggest thing that we do is educate our incoming students on what you need to be prepared for as a Cal Poly student. So continuing that education throughout your 4 years and in the next year, and really what does it mean to be a Cal Poly student here? How can you look out for one another, and what does the Mustang way really mean to you? And the final one is the connection. You find a lot of students that get settled into one nook within Cal Poly, but really having that support across campus for these students, feeling supported, and really having that support for student success is one of the biggest things that I want to do, and working with my executive cabinet across all of campus and really highlighting the unique goals that every organization has and making sure those students in those organizations feel supported and are successful.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. So we will now move into 30-second responses or rebuttal from each candidate, starting with Mr. Jordan.
In terms of advocating at the state for more student funding, I want to be realistic. I want to realize that the state's not going to give us that much more money. They cut $8 billion from California education, was it back in 2008, and they promised to return that money, and they still haven't returned that money. So rather than trying to get money from them we should talk about shifting the student fees that we're talking about building a new UU and renovating the UU, and instead...
Mr. Jordan, your time has expired. Mr. Schwaegerle.
Thank you. In response to what Mr. Jordan was saying about the funding, in 2008 we were in an economic downturn. The economy has since turned around, and since California is in a better place, we could perhaps get more funding from them. Cal Poly went to the California Higher Education Student Summit for the first time in 3 years this year, and I was able to go and advocate on behalf of the students. And so I'm going to be your constant representative for more state funding.
Mr. Collins.
As far as student fees go, I think the biggest thing is being an advocate, really making sure that we are advocating for the students at the state level. The biggest thing too is keeping those programs on campus that are here for student funding, funded as well, such as the Educational Opportunity Program, making sure that programs like that are still being funded. Those are programs that, for instance, go towards fee reductions to pay for SOAR and WOW and other entities on campus, and so making sure we still have those prevalent for those students that are in need of them.
Thank you. So our next question, we will begin with Mr. Schwaegerle. And again, you have your 90 seconds. Please keep in mind our timer in the corner. And the question is, how do you feel about diversity on campus? Not just ethnic diversity, but also diversity of thoughts and ideas.
Diversity is extremely important for the learning experience. Cal Poly needs more diversity. Through diversity, you're able to experience different cultures and learn how to interact with people from across the world. And so there is no question about it. Diversity is important, and that is something we need at Cal Poly. We need it not only through ethnic diversity, we need it through diversity of ideas. We need all of that. And the way we can get more diversity at Cal Poly is by getting people anchored. By having communities where those people get anchored at our school, they will feel safe and secure and feel like it's a welcoming place to be. And so by supporting clubs, by supporting fraternities and sororities, by supporting all of the on-campus organizations, we can help all students find their niche. And at the end of the day, no matter what your background is, we are all Mustangs. And that's what unites us. It's the Mustang way. And so that's what I'm all about, is helping students get anchored at Cal Poly.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
The idea of diversity and what that means to this campus is something that's near and dear to my heart because it's such a big topic within orientation programs. Diversity is something that is important to all of us, and it's not just skin deep, it's where you come from, your background, where you were born, the traditions that your family has specifically to you. It's a huge thing, and I think that's something that needs to be appreciated and recognized throughout this campus. Something that I personally am involved in within PolyReps is something that we call STORM, and it's where we go to different high schools across California to promote Cal Poly. And something that we do along those lines is called Hometown Heroes, where we create presentations for any student at Cal Poly who wants to go home and present to their alma mater high school and really expose the idea of Cal Poly to those other students. And so having more students throughout this university supporting that and really going out and spreading the word about Cal Poly brings more diversity to us. And it really is a huge part of Learn by Doing. Coming from my hometown here, people think that Cal Poly is not that diverse. I'm still having culture shocks every single day. And so I think it's huge that we really do support the idea of diversity. We need to promote it. And again, promoting it through the clubs and connecting clubs to different organizations. For instance, last night I was talking to the Chinese Cultural Club, and they said that we feel like people outside of our culture are afraid to join our club, and my response was that we need to expose that. We really need to make sure that people are getting out and understanding what you're all about and enlightening other people about your culture.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Jordan?
Mirroring the other candidate statements, I definitely believe that diversity is very important for a healthy campus. You know, we have a lot of different clubs on campus that support both connections between diverse groups and also between those clubs. And I think that it's very important that we continue to support that we make sure that all students feel safe and at home on campus. At the same time, we also need to make sure that we keep our tuition costs low enough that students of both different races and socioeconomic classes can enter into university. In terms of long-term employment, in terms of long-term financial gain, the biggest impact that a student can have, the biggest impact on a student's life is generally going to college. Generally, when you are in a lower socioeconomic class, the ability to go to college, get the opportunities to advance your knowledge, and find a career afterwards can change people's lives.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. We will start with our 30-second responses, starting with Mr. Schwaegerle.
Thank you. And I would have a couple of questions. And my question is, what experiences have you had at Cal Poly that have helped you experience diversity and that prepare you to be the president of ASI?
So we will
Both. Can I do that?
We will just, if the candidates so choose to answer that in their 30-second time, they can go ahead and answer those questions, but other than that, we have to keep it to just comment. So, yeah.
So the biggest thing as far as my experience has been in the past 3 years, and again, it's heavily within orientation and as a poly rep, I'm exposed to all these people that are visiting schools and then also working with these different organizations and different entities across campus. I coordinate a lot of different events with all of them, and so I've been exposed to them, I've worked with them, I've talked with them. Every Tuesday night we have hundreds of students that come out for spring training for orientation, and I get the chance to interact with all of them, really hear their stories, and everyone is different, everyone is very unique in those settings. They all come for different reasons, and hearing those different reasons and being able to take that and say, this is what makes Cal Poly special, this is something that brings Cal Poly together, so how can I take those ideas of why we get hundreds of people to show up for 3 hours.
Mr. Collins, your time has expired. Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
I'll address the question. The most recent school that I attended, I am a transfer student, was Santa Rosa Junior College up in the Bay Area. That was a campus that served 40,000 students. So drawing from a large area around the campus, very diverse population. I had classes, I had clubs, cycling team clubs. I did some tutoring, and I talked to people from all different backgrounds that were going to a school that only cost them around $400 to $700 a quarter versus $20,000. So it was a lot more accessible for students of a lower socioeconomic
Mr.
class.
Jordan, your time has expired. Thank you. So we will move into our next question, beginning with Mr. Collins. What is your stance on mandatory SOAR and WOW?
This is an interesting question. So my stance on mandatory SOAR and WOW, well, I promote that. That is my job. So I'm extremely supportive of it. And one of our biggest jobs right now is figuring out how to make all that happen. I'm supportive of it because the stats and everything, the numbers that have come back have shown that students that participate in SOAR and WOW are more successful, their retention rate is higher, and those students are generally happier with their experience at Cal Poly and find their home on campus much earlier, much easier by participating in SOAR and WOW. They're much more knowledgeable and they have that initial support system. And so those numbers support that extremely well. SOAR and WOW is an integral part of the Cal Poly experience, and it's something that all students need to experience in one way, shape, or form. And so making it mandatory is the idea that every student will have some form of orientation, whether it's physically on campus or in some other way if they are not able to attend. But I'm extremely supportive of it because it is so integral to the student success here on campus.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Jordan.
I'm going to have to agree with what Mr. Collins said. It's very important that when you come to campus, you're introduced in a safe environment to the big world of 20,000 students that are on campus here. What I may disagree with is the fact that almost no students were talked to about SOAR becoming WOW or mandatory before it was. I've talked to different organizations on campus that didn't know that this was going to happen. Student government didn't know. It was decided by administration and student affairs without consultation. And it's important that we hold administration accountable for policies that are going to affect campus this much. Totally agree that it's a needed thing. We need to make sure that they consult us.
Thank you, Mr. Schwaegerle.
Thank you. SOAR and WOW are fantastic programs that really help the students adapt to college. It exposes them to the new cultures that they are going to be engaged with. But making it mandatory is something that I do not agree with. I believe that we should highly encourage students to go to SOAR and WOW. Because if the stats are there, then there is going to be an incentive for students and for families to send their students to WOW and SOAR. But it is extremely costly, especially for out-of-state students, to go to summer orientation. And I have friends who are from out of state, and if we required and made it mandatory for them to go to summer orientation, that's just a plane ticket, 2 ways that they have to buy, just a lot of extra money. And as one of my platforms is student fees, you know, I'm all about making sure students can afford college. And so I would not be for this because I want students to be able to have an affordable education.
Thank you. We'll now begin with 30-second responses, starting with Mr. Collins.
Responding to Kyle's statement, there was a committee that was formed in the preliminary stages of this, and so students were consulted. The administration did make the final decision though, so I will agree with you on that. As far as Owen's statement, specifically there is a special session for out-of-state SOAR, which actually happens after the out-of-state students move in. We do it so that those students don't have to fly out here twice, so they'll fly out and move in, and the out-of-state SOAR happens the 2 days after them. So we are extremely conscious of those fees, and we also have fee reductions in place for those students who cannot attend based on the amount. So we are extremely conscious of the fees and make sure that the students, especially out-of-state students, are able to attend without having to pay for all those extra flights.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Jordan.
While I agree that it is important to reduce student fees, I believe that it's also important to make sure that all students are prepared. And WOW is the introduction to the campus and the community and the culture, and SOAR is the introduction to the school and the academic side of things, and that's really important to require both of them.
Thank you. So our next question will begin with Mr. Jordan.
Wait, I didn't get to go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Schwaegerle.
All right, thank you. So in response, I'd like to say I am for the principle. The principle of making anything mandatory is something that I'm not for. I believe that the Cal Poly motto, learn by doing, is the best way to go about living your life. And I'm all for the freedom of choice. Let the students decide. If it really is such a great program, show them the statistics, show their families the statistics, and then they'll have that choice to go to WOW and SOAR. And I mean, highly recommend it and encourage it, but don't make it mandatory.
Thank you, Mr. Schwaegerle. Mr. Jordan, a lot of clubs have been affected by Executive Order 1068, which is regarding open leadership. What is your stance on this, and how do you think it has impacted students?
I am uninformed of what Executive Order 1068 is.
The best explanation I can provide is clubs are required to allow anyone to run for positions of leadership within those organizations. We can come back to you and let the other candidates respond so that way you can get a little more context if you would like.
The concept to me sounds like an acceptable order. It makes sense to be able to run for a position inside of a club, even if you're not part of the upper echelon of the club, and make sure that student fees, which go towards club funding, are being spent in an equitable and fair manner.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle.
Thank you. Executive Order 1068 came out from the Chancellor's office, and it's an order that states that all clubs should be open in membership and leadership. And that is great. We want all clubs to be open to everyone. But the problem is when it comes to the leadership requirement. And that's something that clubs at Cal Poly have experienced some issues with. So the problem is when it comes to belief-based organizations. If you have a belief-based organization, such as a religious club, you want the leader of that club to be of that religious value and have those beliefs as well. And so a couple of clubs on Cal Poly's campus, like Crew and InterVarsity, the Asian American Christian Fellowship, the Chinese Christian Fellowship, all of them were not able to sign and agree with the all-comers policy or the non-discriminatory agreement that is a part of the executive order, and that was the problem that some clubs at our school have faced. And that is something that I think is very unfortunate, because we want all students to get anchored at Cal Poly. And so how can they get anchored if they can't find their community, if they can't find that belief-based organization that supports them? And so that is something that I'm for, is helping all students have those opportunities to get grounded in those clubs and organizations.
Thank you, Mr. Schwaegerle. Mr. Collins.
I'm extremely supportive of this executive order, mostly because it goes back to my idea of connecting with Collins. If you have individuals within an organization that maybe aren't reflective of that exact culture, that belief, but they're still present, that means that they want to get more involved, they want to learn more about it, and they want to help expose that to the rest of the community and to others that may not follow that same culture. As far as the leadership goes, if you have an individual within that organization who is willing to step up and be a leader in that organization, that means that regardless if they have that exact belief or follow that exact same culture, they support it and they want to spread it and make that organization as beneficial to themselves and the rest of the Cal Poly community as possible. I think opening that up to anyone who is willing to support it on that level is extremely important and extremely vital to the Cal Poly aspect of Learn by Doing. We talk about diversity and we talk about exposing students to this diversity, but how is it that you expose people if you're not allowing them to dive in deeply and really step up and be that leader for that organization that maybe they're not the exact culture that they are representing there, but you know, if they want to step up, they want to lead in that position, by all means, let them go for it. I think they bring a great outside perspective to that group.
Thank you. So we'll begin with our 30-second responses, starting with Mr. Jordan.
I would like to ask the question that, do we want our student fees, do we want our money to go towards exclusionary policies? If you can't join a club and you can't join the leadership because of something about your past culture restricts you from that, then student money should not go towards it.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle.
And so the problem wasn't open membership. The clubs are all for having all members join. Anyone can come. It was just the simple thing of the leadership. They wanted to be led by people who have the values of their beliefs. And I believe that there's a way we can work within the bylaws of each club to go and find out how they can get rechartered and recognized as clubs at our school.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
My same statement stands. I feel that anyone who is willing to dedicate themselves to an organization, despite if they don't follow that exact culture or beliefs, speaks volumes about their belief in that culture and wanting them to promote that. I think that encourages students to join within that culture and outside of that culture as well. And I think it goes more specifically into discrimination, which is a federal law which speaks against discrimination. I think that's a huge thing that we need to recognize, and that we need to be conscious that we want to preach diversity and inclusion here, and I think that goes against what we're saying here, and I think it's a great example of Learn by Doing as well.
Thank you. So I believe, provided I have my orders correct, we'll be beginning with Mr. Schwaegerle. And the question is, what is your political affiliation and why?
Wow, that is a great question. Now, I'm not sure how explaining what my political affiliation is and why is going to further the cause of Cal Poly. And we are all Mustangs, and I am for the students. That's what I'm all about, is being a representative for the students at Cal Poly. And so I want to represent you and serve you by being your voice. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
I just follow whatever's best for the people, in all honesty. I want what's best for groups, I want what's best for the individual. I really do not define myself as a Republican, as a Democrat, anywhere in between. I never have, and it's because I look at each individual law, each individual bill, everything that is talked about within the government. I really look at it and say, is this beneficial, is it not beneficial? And so I do not follow a specific political party.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
I'm going to have to agree with Mr. Schwaegerle here. I don't think that it's relevant to the campus what our exact political affiliation is, because that's very different from the ability to make decisions and choices for the campus based on the best knowledge. And the political affiliation that you follow may tell you to vote a certain way, but I don't think that that is relevant to this discussion.
Thank you. We'll begin with 30-second responses with Mr. Schwaegerle.
So yeah, as I said before, it's about the students. There isn't any party system here at Cal Poly. We're all students, we're all Mustangs, and I just would encourage you all to make the choice of the candidate who is the most experienced, who has the best leadership qualities that can guide this school through the storms of life.
Mr. Collins.
I will define my political party as Cal Poly students and their success.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
My comment stands.
Thank you. Beginning with Mr. Collins, what do you think about gender-neutral bathrooms?
I signed their toilet yesterday. Beyonce said on it as well. I think it's a very interesting concept, and I know that schools across the nation or across the state of California have done it and started implementing that. I think it's something to strive for. I think it's something that we should be working towards in the coming years, because I think that gender is a spectrum. It's something that we preach within orientation. It's something that we know. And so being conscious of that, and again, going back to that conscious inclusion and that diversity aspect, really honing in on the idea that gender is a spectrum and that I think everyone should be included in that. And so working towards that in the next few years is something that I think should be a goal in the years to come.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
I'm going to have to say that I also agree in this case. If gender is a spectrum and students want facilities that make them comfortable on campus, there's no reason to not provide them.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle.
I'd also agree. When I was a child, I remember just thinking it was the strangest thing that men and women went into different bathrooms. We're all human. We all should be going to the bathroom together if we'd like. And the thing about it is, I just remember also, it seems strange that there is that sort of differentiation between men and women today. It seems like we got rid of discrimination in bathrooms like a long time ago. In the South, you know, there was the colored bathrooms and there was the white bathrooms. And this is almost a form of discrimination that it seems like. And so if people want to go to the bathroom together, let them do it.
Thank you. You now have 30 seconds for response, starting with Mr. Collins.
My statement stands. I support gender-neutral bathrooms because gender is a spectrum, and I think that's all there is to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
My statement stands. I support gender-neutral bathrooms.
Mr. Schwaegerle.
And if it really is what the students at Cal Poly want, they can do something about it through ASI. Through the student government, they could go to the board of directors and have them write a resolution or make a proposal. And if the students of this university are passionate about that, we can get that here at Cal Poly.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan, what are your views on the facility master plan and the future of the UU?
My personal view is that whatever it ends up costing, it's going to be unacceptable. I believe that classroom availability, class section availability, professor retention are a lot more important than a huge new building. Being renovated, yes, and at maybe a cost that's lower than it could be if they built a whole new building, but I believe that we need to better focus our hard-paid student dollars on supporting students getting out faster, supporting more class sections, and getting done within 4 years. We need to make it easier to finish your degree faster. We've just pledged that we're going to spend $2.5 million on increasing faculty salaries over the next, I believe it's 3 to 5 years. We need to have funding for that. So instead, let's make another student success fee.
Thank you, Mr. Schwaegerle.
The UU, look at it. It's right there. You know, we are hanging out right here, right now. And the UU is for students. It's for students to get involved, to see what's going on, to support clubs, communities. That's what it's about. It's for the students. And since it's for the students to decide. Look at the rec center. We have one of the best rec centers this side of the Mississippi. And that was because of students. Through ASI, they were able to devise and create that beautiful building. And now we have the same opportunity today to remake our UU and make it something big for future students. That way, when you come back, you can be a part of the legacy of creating that union. And so, April 28th, there's going to be a facility master plan survey coming out to you all. You're going to be emailed it, and it's your responsibility as a student to fill that out and let the ASI student government know what you want. However big you want it or however small you want, it's your decide. If you don't want it at all, I'm for the students, and whatever you decide is what I will stand by.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
I agree with both portions of what the other candidates have said. First of all, I do agree that having a new UU does fall in line with my campaign and my platform. I think the University Union is a place that can be remodeled to really highlight connecting campus and community, bring all these organizations and all these students together and having a purpose for coming up to the UU. You find a lot of students that say, I don't need to go up there because my classes are down in building 192 and that's all I need to see on campus. We talk about how we need to provide more classrooms. Because of the size of the UU currently, my own personal office with new student and transition programs and several of the other Dean of Students offices have been relocated into Building 52. So those classrooms have been converted into Dean of Students offices. Remodeling a new UU allows for all of those offices to go back into the University Union, allowing those classrooms to go back to education and educating those students in those facilities instead of using it for offices. So I think that in the long run, a new UU is going to, one, connect the campus and bring the students back together, and two, it will increase the number of classrooms and number of classes that we can offer here on campus so that students are going to be able to finish in 4 years and be a successful Cal Poly student.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan, you have 30 seconds for response.
While I believe that the student choice is important, the question was specifically about my view. I will not say that I will try to stop this. It is just my opinion that we do not need to renovate the UU at this time when we have other pressing issues to deal with.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle.
And so today the choice is ours. Do we move forward with a new university union or not? And that's going to be very important. And so everyone take the survey, April 28th till the May 8th. And then your voice will be heard.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
I'd like to agree with that. Please make sure you take the survey. Please make sure your voice is heard because that is the factor that decides if this happens. And just remember that you're not just remodeling what this UU looks like, but you are creating a new community and a place for students to connect even more than what it is now. And so making sure that it's not just about a new UU, but it's about a new environment for us to be successful in.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle, what is one issue you see with other candidates on the platform with you?
With other candidates. Now, these are both very great young men. The more I've got to know them, the more I see that they are great men. The one thing I think that I have that they don't is current ASI experience. And that is through being on the board of directors this past year, I was able to really get a hand on what the student government is like. I sat on the internal review committee, which is the committee that deals strictly with ASI bylaws. So I know how the organization works. I know how it functions, and I know what it takes to get a resolution or a bill written. And I have had experience with our current ASI president working beside her, going to Sacramento with her to advocate on behalf of the students. And then the final thing was the Student Success Fee Allocation Committee. That was a committee I sat on. I was one of 6 students, and we were determining where our student success fees go. And the students of my college, College of Agriculture, Food and Environmental Science, decided that they would like to see the funding go to increase sizes of your classes. And so we were able to allocate that funding to hiring more faculty so that they could give us more classes. And so that is what I'm all about, is serving the students, and it is my current ASI experience and leadership that differentiates me.
Thank you. Mr. Collins.
So something that I've learned over the course of this experience is that the job of the ASI president is extremely external. You're working with entities all across campus. So while having ASI experience is huge, the ASI president's job is working on committees across campus, working with different entities, and that's something that I've done in the last 2 years of my orientation experience. I sit in meetings with entities all across campus, making connections with different groups, different faculty, different staff, different administrators. And so I think that's something that I bring really heavily to the presidency, is that I have these connections already, and I'm good at sitting with these individuals and really talking about what it is that's best for this campus, how can we take each entity's goals and really make them all, how do we fulfill those goals, and then making sure the students are equally as successful at the same time. And so that's the thing that I bring, is one, an outside perspective, and two, experiences that are very similar to what will be happening at the president's job is, and making those connections, sitting, and working externally from the department.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
I don't see anything that's wrong with either of these candidates. I think that that's a dividing question. I think that we need to support every student's voice on campus. In regards to my qualifications and things that they may address, yes, I am newer to campus. I'm a transfer student, so I haven't been here as long. But in the short time that I have been here, enormous trust has been placed in me, both with one of the largest student club sports teams on campus, the Cal Poly Wheelmen. I have been elected to the position of mountain bike race director, as well as being appointed to Joy Sullivan, the current president's executive cabinet. So in a short period of time, other students on campus have recognized that I have the ability to get things done and that I will work hard for this campus, and I want you to put that same trust in me.
Thank you. For the sake of time, we will move into our 60-second closing statements. And if a question that you submitted was not answered, or you have had a thought provoked by the discussion here today, please, I encourage you to meet your candidates and get to know them one-on-one, or get to know their staff as well. They would be happy to answer your questions throughout the remainder of active campaigning. So with that, we will start with closing statements with Mr. Collins.
Perfect. I first want to thank everyone for coming out today and listening to us speak. It really means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to the other candidates that you genuinely care about this election. I just want to say that if you have any more additional questions, please come talk to me. Please come hang out at the booth and chit-chat with us a little bit, get to know me a little bit more. And I really hope today that I showcased a little bit about, I do have a knowledge of this campus, I do have a good understanding of what's going on, and I do have the students' interest in mind. Despite my lack of experience within ASI student government, my experiences all across campus have really helped me get a good, well-rounded view of the necessity and the needs here on campus. And again, I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day, and be sure to connect with Collins.
Thank you. Mr. Schwaegerle.
While making your choice for the presidency of this school, I think it's very important that you consider who you want serving and leading you. And through the diversity of my experience at Cal Poly, through housing, through Greek life, through the Ag Business Management Club, the Line Dancing Club, all of those different experiences have helped anchor me here at this school and gotten me grounded, and which is why I'm serving the school by being on the board of directors this year. Now, I want every student to vote. That's the most important thing. No matter who you vote for, whichever one of us three, just go out and vote on your Poly portals next week. You need to let your voice be heard, because you are the students. It's important that you are represented. Next week, Tuesday, we're having a barbecue at Dexter Lawn. Come by if you want a hot dog.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
Just like the other two candidates, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out and listening to us. The student voice is the most important thing on this campus. We can be the ones that make change to Cal Poly for the future. And through this campaign, I've seen a couple things that, about myself. I've learned a lot about organization, I've learned a lot about timing, and I've realized that I'm not the best candidate for this campus at this point. I want to serve you guys in the future, but I've realized that one of the other two candidates here on the stage is going to be better for you. They have better experience on this campus, and I'd like to thank everybody who has supported me through this campaign season, and I hope that the best candidate for this position will win, and my opinion for that would be Lance Collins.
Thank you, and again, ladies and gentlemen, Mustangs, thank you for coming out today. Please, most importantly, regardless of who you choose to vote for, vote. It is your opportunity to be represented by those who you feel would best represent you. So on your Poly portal next week, 7 a.m. on the 22nd to 7 a.m. on the 23rd, log onto your portal and vote. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Well done, Mr. Jordan.